Let's go back to the landfill, go collect all of our items, and start organizing so that we know how to filter out the items. What up, my roomies, and welcome back to the technical guide to Minecraft. And today we're going to be making the safety shulker unloader thing for the storage system, because while we have a storage system, if there's no input for the system itself, it's basically not sorting really much anything, which means that it'll be useless. So we need a way to put the items that we have into the system itself. Now you might notice something very strange. This place is very empty. For a landfill, this place really isn't filled up. Now what I've gone ahead and did is collect all the stuff and put them in these shulker boxes. Reason being is that shulker boxes, well, they have a lot of storage in them and they're portable. And by having them in shulker boxes, we could easily transport a lot of items very quickly. And all the items that we had inside these chests, all the items that I own are just in these chests. And you know, when I look at it, it's actually not a lot. It's kind of embarrassing. But no matter, we are going to load all these into our ender chests and then load them up into our inventory and put them into the system. And like I hinted before, we're gonna need a system that unloads these shulker boxes into the storage system itself. But the way that we're gonna have a shulker unloader is that because Ambrosia, or the KigaCore headquarters, is used by many different players of mine, we need to make sure that the shulker boxes that they own is able to return back to them. And so it needs to have some sort of safety mechanism in order for the shulker boxes to unload while also being able to be collected when it's empty. So in order to get into that, welcome to KigaCore, where safety is a concern. So in front of us is a basic hopper and barrel. What a basic hopper and barrel will do for a shulker box is that it'll unload the contents inside of it. So in this case, it's right now unloading cobblestone. Now let's say it's finished loading on cobblestone. If we were to try to grab the shulker box afterwards, it'll get sucked into the system, which is something we don't want to happen. So in order to prevent this, what we can do is put a shulker box on top. And right now it's being suctioned off into the barrel below. So let's say it's done. What we can do is set up a system so that this hopper will lock in and this piston will push the shulker out. So if we were to do that, now we retrieved the shulker box. By locking the hopper, we're able to safely remove the shulker box and use it again, which is going to be good for Ambrosia because a lot of people are going to be using it, storing their things into either the mass system or the small system that I haven't made yet, and keep it for their inventory. And this system can extend downwards with chests that could then divide into different hoppers. So if I were to put in this shulker box, the contents inside will start being put into these two chests. The first chest will be filled and the second chest will be filled. And just like before, once this becomes empty, we can just flick the lever, grab it, and we're good to go. Everything inside has now been transferred into this chest. Now over here, we have something interesting. In the previous episode, we had used this sort of comparator clock, but in this case, we're going to make this into an auto dropper using comparators and the clock, because whenever this dropper is filled with an item, this comparator will activate, which will then power the sticky piston, pushing this observer up. And when these two observers look at each other, it'll send a continuous signal into this dropper, thus becoming an auto dropper system. Let me demonstrate. And as you can see, the cobblestone is now being automatically ejected from the dropper down into the void, which is going to be very key for us later on down the line. So if we combine the shulker safety switch, the hopper divider, and the auto dropper, we get something like this. And the reason why we are setting it up like this is because the other members of KigaCore are, for the most part, builders. They're not really technical players. And I have found that when they're builders, they tend to want to keep their shulker boxes for whatever reason. So as a CEO and owner of KigaCore, I need to make sure that my employees are fully supported. So if you were to pull this lever up, these will go up. The employees will be able to then, the hoppers will then suck out all the cobblestone down into the barrels. And when we tie all the barrels together, it'll feed into the singular barrel, which will then feed into this auto dropper system, which will then shoot all the content into the void. And the best news is that when we're done, we just flick the lever and we can just safely gather all the different shulker boxes. It's really that simple. Now over here, we have a non-stackable item filter. Full disclosure, I got this from MumboJumbo. Because of how it's simple and versatile it is, because you could really place this anywhere in a build, we're going to be using it. So how this works is that this comparator is comparing anything in this hopper. If a stackable item will go through, it'll only give a power of 1, which is not enough to turn down this redstone torch. And this is important because this redstone torch is powering this redstone, which is then powering this repeater, which is then locking the hopper underneath. Let me demonstrate. If we were to put down a cobblestone, it'll end up over here. On the other side, if we were to put down a non-stackable item, say a shulker box, what'll end up happening is that it'll go down the system and it'll end up in here. Now this extends beyond just shulker boxes. It works for any type of non-stackable item. You'll see that this flashes to 3, which is just enough to unpower this redstone torch and unlock this hopper. And if you look at the bottom barrel, we can see that the wooden axe has safely arrived at non-stackable items. So combining what we've already combined, the safety shulker unloader, the hopper divider, the auto dropper, and now non-stackable item filter, we get this. So just like before, we open this up and we start filling in this entire thing. And when they're done, just like before, just flick the lever and they could safely collect all of the shulker boxes. It's really that simple. For those that want to play around with this, there's going to be a world download as well as a schematic in the description below. And with that, let's head back to the technical guide world and get to it. Quick interruption. I noticed that only 12% of you are actually subscribed to this channel. Watching this long, I must be doing something right, so if you like this video, hit that like button and please subscribe to this channel. Any support helps and these videos take a bit long to make. Thank you so much and back to the video. So during stream, which you could follow me on twitch.tv/Kigurumi or on youtube.com/Kigurumi, because I also stream on both, I finished setting all the filters for the sorting system, as you can see right next to me. So let's take what we learned in the Kiga Testing Center and start building this thing. And there you go, we built the safety shulker unloader for everyone in KigaCore that want to just submit whatever items they have into this storage system. So if you count, there's 13 on each side, equating to 26. Now, there's a reason why it's 26. If people are like me, they tend to have a single shulker box which holds all of their tools and items. For me, it's the tool shed. It has more or less different types of things that I might need. And with the assumption of each KigaCore employee having at least one shulker box reserved inside the ender chest, we then have 26 hoppers for them to unload it. On the left, we have the shulker box loader. If you have a spare shulker box that we don't want to have anymore, we just load it in here and it gets sent to the system. And over here, we have the non-stackable item collector, which collects all the non-stackable items like armor, gear, all the shulker boxes that might be in the system by accident for one reason or another, just in case that the interns don't follow this simple step of not removing the shulker box manually. Put a sign here, and I even hunted glow squid for them to look at. So if they lose it in the system, at the very least, we could salvage it in here. And with that, we're gonna go back to landfill, grab all of the items, and then start filling this storage system with all of my stuff. Well, as much as I can, given the item filter so far.